Thank you for taking a moment to learn about Extra Duty Off-Duty Employment Software by Jivasoft. Extra Duty automates the entire process of administering off-duty details worked by your officers. It keeps track of the officers and the employers who hire them to work off-duty jobs. It handles job creation, job assignments, electronic job slips, invoicing, collections, and payroll. There are two parts to Extra Duty: a workstation installed administrative module, and a server-installed Officer portal, accessed through a web browser. Let's take a quick look at the Officer portal. Officers sign in using an employee number or a badge number and a password. Here on the landing page, officers see a message that you can use to communicate important information, such as upcoming events or changes in your off-duty employment policies. As you can see, there are a number of tabs at the top of the page that are used to navigate around the Officer portal. On the Job History page, officers can see a history of all the jobs that they have previously worked. By default, they will see the last year of jobs, but they can change the date range to expand or reduce the time period that is displayed. If your agency has enabled the electronic time slip feature, officers can verify the hours that they worked on the job. The Verify Work Hours page shows the officer several details about the job, including the employer, location, and date it was worked. By default, the start and end times are set to the scheduled start and end times for the job. If the officer worked the scheduled hours, he can simply click the Submit button and be done. If the officer did not work the job, she can check the Did Not Work Job box, enter a note, and click Submit. If the officer worked different hours than the scheduled hours, the officer can adjust the start and/or end times of the job. After they've changed the hours and put in a note, they can hit Submit. Extra Duty keeps a detailed electronic audit trail to show that the officer verified his hours, including a timestamp to show exactly when it was done. Some of our customers who are used to using paper slips signed by the officer choose to continue doing that for a while. But eventually, most decide that the electronic record is not only easier, but more accurate and reliable than using paper slips. On the Available Jobs page, officers can see what jobs are available to work. Depending on how your agency operates, you can configure Extra Duty to allow officers to take jobs that are available. There are many ways you can limit how many jobs an officer can take, based on the number of jobs worked in a particular period of time, the frequency of sign-ups by the officer, the number of future jobs already assigned to the officer, and more. Some agencies do not allow officers to take jobs, but rather operate on a request basis. That's what you see here. In the request model, officers can sign up for any jobs that they are willing to work. When it is time to decide who will actually be assigned to the job, the off-duty detail administrator can manually assign the jobs based on the agency's assignment rules and policies, or run an automated process to do the assignments according to the rules. If an officer wants to know more about the job than is displayed on the grid, she can click on the View link to see more detail. In addition to the information that the officer could see on the list of available jobs, the officer can also see the contact information for the employer, the type of job, the pay rate, and who, if anybody else, is already assigned to the job. The officer can also view any documents associated with the job and any notes or special instructions that were entered for the job. If an officer attempts to request a job that conflicts with her regular work schedule, the officer will be notified of the conflict and will not be permitted to request the job. There are two ways that extra duty can know what the officer's work schedule is. The best, most accurate way is to combine extra duty with Jivasoft's on-duty scheduling software. If you use on duty, extra duty will have accurate real-time scheduling information to prevent overlaps between off-duty jobs and regular police work. If you do not use on duty, you can still create a static schedule for your officers in extra duty, and officers will not be permitted to sign up for jobs that conflict with the standard work schedule. When an officer requests a job, he can then set a priority for that request. The selected priority does not affect the likelihood of the officer getting the job over another officer, but rather it reflects the degree of interest the officer has in working this particular job compared to other jobs that the officer requests. Allowing officers to prioritize their requests helps the officer, but it also helps the agency and the employers who hire your officers. If an officer could not tell the system that he prefers one job over another, then she would only sign up for jobs that she really wanted to work. The officer would not request other less desirable jobs that she might be willing to work out of fear that she would be assigned to the less desirable job instead of the job that she really wanted. By letting the officer set a priority, the officer can rest assured that she will be assigned to the job she really wants if it is still available, when her turn comes up during the assignment process. If the more desirable job is filled, then the officer will be assigned to the less desirable job, assuming it is still available. With this approach, an officer will typically sign up for more jobs that are considered undesirable, and the agency is able to fill those jobs and provide better service to its employers. You can see that extra duty provides confirmation to the officer that the request has been submitted successfully with the designated priority. On the calendar page, the officer can see all of his scheduled jobs and any jobs that he has requested in the future. In this case, we can see the job that the officer is scheduled to work on January 16th and see that the officer has requested to work jobs on January 23rd and January 30th. Officers can delete requests for jobs that have not yet been filled. Once a job has been assigned to an officer, he can only delete himself from the job if it is permitted by agency policy and is sufficiently far in advance of the job. Extra duty also has a transfer function, which can be configured or disabled to comply with agency policy. If you allow transfers, you can choose to permit one or both of the two transfer options. One option is to permit direct transfers from one officer to another. The other transfer option permits an officer to make a job that he has been assigned available for other officers to pick up. This option only works if your extra duty software is configured to allow officers to take available jobs rather than submit requests. In the same manner as the other job lists, an officer can click on the View link to see more detail about the job. Extra duty also has an option to allow officers to block out periods of time when they are interested in working or are not available to work off-duty jobs. If your agency enables this option, an officer will be considered to have requested any job that falls within a period that has been designated as available, and the officer will be considered unavailable during times marked as such. Some agencies base their assignment rules on which officers have accumulated the fewest hours, assigned jobs, or dollars earned. Extra duty assigns points to officers whenever they are assigned a job. These points represent hours, jobs, or dollars, based on your agency's configuration. For the sake of maintaining transparency and reducing conflicting complaints, Many agencies choose to show officers the point list in the officer portal. Officers can see where they stand in relation to other officers, giving them a better sense of how likely they are to be assigned to their requested jobs. Officers can view and modify the personal information that Extra Duty uses to communicate with them. They can update their address, phone number, email, and contact preferences. Extra Duty will notify officers of job assignments, cancellations, and changes based on their preferences. Officers can receive notifications by email, text message, or both. Well, that's a quick overview of the officer portal of Extra Duty. Be sure to watch the video of the administrative module as well, so you can see how easy it is to create jobs, assign jobs to officers, prepare invoices, and prepare payroll. If you want to learn more about Extra Duty or schedule a private web demo, you can email us at marketing@jivasoft.com or call us at 1-800-723-5124 and press option 2 for sales.